Give this one a second before I say anything about it. You've got the whole grid lit up in pink and blue, the Ferris wheel sitting out there on the water, headlights stacked all the way down the causeway, and the skyline behind it that just keeps going. And every light back there is a building somebody modeled and then lit for a shot most people are gonna fly straight over. So that is Vice City, and I want to talk about how little of it actually has a name yet. Now, if you go looking for what's actually in it, you'll find a dozen neighborhood names. South Beach, Little Haiti, Venetian Islands. People will rattle them off like they're reading a street sign. But Rockstar themselves have only ever named 4 of them, not a dozen, not 8. So that's Ocean Beach, Little Cuba, the Tisha-Wocka Flea Market, and VC Port. Those 4 all come straight out of Rockstar's own description of the city, and every other name you've heard came from somewhere else entirely, which I think is more interesting than it sounds, because they've shown us way more of this city than they've bothered to name. There are streets in these screenshots nobody has a word for yet. So the 4 they did pick are a choice, and what they chose to name tells you what they think the city is actually for. Because look at how much of this is just there. A street with a mural on it, a block of apartments, a junction with a burger place on the corner, and not one of those has a name we can point at yet. How many neighborhoods do you reckon are actually in that shot? I guess a dozen. We have words for 2 of them. Quick thing before we go anywhere, because it matters for the rest of this. When something is confirmed in this video, it's because Rockstar published it. And when I'm reading a picture and guessing, I'll tell you I'm guessing. And I'm not touching the leak at all. Not the map, not the district names, none of it. Which does mean this video is shorter on street names than some others you'll find. And honestly, I'd rather be short than wrong. Ocean Beach first, because it's the one Rockstar leads with. Pastel Art Deco hotels, bright white sands. And you can see the sand in the screenshots already. Look at how much of it is people though. There's a lifeguard tower, someone flat out asleep on a towel in the front, a guy in green shorts wandering through, umbrellas going back until they turn into dots. Now I counted past 60 figures in that frame before I gave up, and that is in a still they put out to sell the game, not a staged set piece. For a sense of scale on that, GTA 5's beach ran about a dozen people on a good day, and half of them despawned if you turned around. The Art Deco half is the part I keep going back to. Those hotels are the actual visual signature of Miami Beach. The pinks and the mint greens and the neon trim, and Rockstar naming it first suggests it's the postcard they want you to send. And it is also, I mean this as a compliment, incredibly tacky. Which is exactly right for the place they are copying, because the real version of this is a protected historic district. Miami Beach has something like 800 Art Deco buildings packed into a few square blocks, and they've been legally protected since the late 70s. So when Rockstar says pastel Art Deco hotels, they're not inventing a look. They're copying a place that already decided on purpose to keep looking like 1938. Even the lifeguard towers are a real thing. Those little colored huts are a Miami Beach signature, and there are dozens of them along that sand, each one painted differently. Little Cuba is the second one, and the word Rockstar actually uses is panaderias, bakeries. So out of everything they could have pulled from a whole neighborhood, they went with the bakeries. Not a gang, not a nightclub strip, not some landmark you can see from the water. They went with the bread shops. And I think that's them telling you what the street level is going to feel like, because you don't name a bakery district in your marketing copy unless people are meant to be standing outside it. Which lines up with basically every street shot they've released. Stalls, awnings, people carrying things, somebody always in the way. And the real world one here is obviously Little Havana, which sits just west of downtown Miami and runs along a street called Calle Ocho. Rockstar has swapped Havana for Cuba, which is about as much effort as they usually put into these. The bakeries genuinely are the institution there though. It's where people actually stop, get a coffee standing up, and argue about something for 20 minutes. So if Rockstar picked that detail out of everything available to them, I think they're telling you the neighborhood has a rhythm rather than a mission board. Now, Rockstar has done crowded streets before, obviously, but GTA 5's version of a neighborhood was mostly a texture you drove past at 40 miles an hour, and this looks like somewhere you're meant to get out of the car. Third one is the Tisha-Wocka flea market, and the phrase they use is bootleg brands. Now that is a very Rockstar thing to put in your own marketing. It is a market that sells fakes, and they are flagging it up front as somewhere you're meant to spend time. And what do you actually do there? I genuinely don't know. Buy clothes, probably, maybe fence something, and I'm not going to pretend a screenshot told me any more than that. But the satire register here matters, because Rockstar's cities have always run on brand parody, and naming the knockoff market as one of your 4 headline locations is them saying the joke layer is still switched on. And you can already see it in the clothing packs. Fake logos, fake patterns, fake everything, all of it sitting one letter away from something you'd recognize, which has always been the sharpest thing about these games, honestly. The parody is never really about the products, it's about who's buying them and why. And the fourth one is VC Port, which Rockstar calls the cruise ship capital of the world, and that is their line, not mine. They could have called it a port and moved on, but they went with cruise ship capital of the world, which, for what it's worth, is a title the real Miami actually holds. Its port moves somewhere around 8 million cruise passengers in a year, more than anywhere else on the planet. And it's the only one of the 4 where they reach for a superlative, which, for a company that describes a swamp as the untamable jewel of the state's crown, is saying something. Real Miami moves something like 8 million cruise passengers a year through its port, and it genuinely is the busiest one on the planet, so the joke is that it's barely a joke. And a working port is a strange thing to headline when you think about it. Nobody's excited about cargo. But a port is also where things arrive that aren't supposed to. Rockstar naming it alongside a beach and a bakery district is them putting the smuggling infrastructure right there on the postcard, next to the sunbathers. So, what does that mean for actually playing it? Big boats, big water, and a lot of things that are presumably stealable. We'll see. Alright, let's step back a second, because everything we just went through is 4 named areas inside one single city. Rockstar has named 6 places in the state of Leonida. Vice City is one of them. There's also the Leonida Keys, Grass Rivers, Mount Caligan National Park, Port Gellhorn, and Ambrosia. And 5 of those 6 have never been in a Grand Theft Auto before. So the postcard city with the Ferris wheel and the Art Deco hotels is the part we know best, and it might end up being the smallest thing on the map. So here comes the part I said I'd get to, and it's the bit most channels skip. Everything past those 4 names is not confirmed. The full district maps you've seen, the neighborhood boundaries, the street layouts, most of that traces back to the 2022 leak and to people piecing trailer frames together. And some of it is probably right, because community mapping has been scarily accurate before, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you those people are wrong. But it isn't confirmed, and there's a difference between a good guess and a thing Rockstar published. And once a channel stops marking that difference, you can't really trust anything else it tells you either. And that is why this particular video is only 4 names long. One last frame, because this one does more work than the rest. Police lights going, 2 people on the bonnet of the car, neon signs down the whole street, and everybody in shot is completely relaxed about it. But look past them for a second, because there are people on the pavement behind who aren't reacting at all. They're just carrying on with their night. And that's the bit that suggests this stuff is ambient rather than staged for you. Now I could be reading way too much into a promotional screenshot, and that is a genuine possibility I wanted to say out loud rather than bury. But if you line the 4 names up, you get a beach you sunbathe on, a neighborhood you buy bread in, a market you buy fakes in, and a port full of ships. None of those is a mission, they're all just places to be. And that is a very different pitch to GTA 5, where the city was mostly just the distance between 2 yellow markers on your map. Does that actually hold up when we're playing it? No idea. A description is a promise, and promises are cheap until November. We find out on November 19th. Next one in this series is the Leonida Keys, which is the turquoise water and the seaplanes, and going by the screenshots, an alarming number of sharks.